Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Johns Hopkins School of Education Special Education Virtual Webinar. My name is Tanya McMillan. I am an admissions coordinator here at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. I also have my colleague from the Office of Admissions here with me today, and she will introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sion John, Assistant Director of Admissions here at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Welcome, everyone.
We also have assistant professors, Dr. Rebecca Cruz and Dr. Alexandra Shelton joining us today, as well as Jordan Hensley, an alumnus of the Special Education Program. Before we begin, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics. First, today's webinar is being recorded. We will be able to share a link with you after the event is complete, usually within 1 week. Also, please take a moment right now to ensure that your microphone is on mute and your video camera is off. Please always have your microphone muted and video off during today's presentation. There will be a question and answer session at the end of the presentation as well. Please type your questions in the chat box and we will read and answer your questions. I'd like to share the agenda for today's virtual webinar. We will begin the presentation sharing an overview of the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Then Dr. Cruz and Dr. Shelton will go over the details of the special education programs. And Mr. Hensley will share his experience as a School of Education alumni. Lastly, we will cover admissions requirements, go over financial aid and scholarships, and finally leave the floor open for questions at the end. So here we have just a few quick facts about Johns Hopkins School of Education. And we are one of 9 schools at the Johns Hopkins University. We began offering college courses for teachers in 1909 and then became our own school in 2007. We are proud to share that the Johns Hopkins School of Education is consistently ranked one of the top schools in education by the U.S. News and World Report. Here you'll see some fast facts about our school. For school enrollment, we have approximately 2,364 students and offer 27 graduate programs, which includes doctoral, master's, and graduate certificate programs. We also have a strong network of over 23,000 SOE alums. Here we have our special education faculty, Dr. Rebecca Cruz, Dr. Tamara Martyr, and Dr. Alexandra Shelton. Presenting for us today, we have Dr. Shelton and Dr. Cruz. Dr. Shelton joined Johns Hopkins in 2021. Her research focuses on improving literacy outcomes for secondary students with mild disabilities, including mild intellectual disability and learning disabilities, via intensive intervention and teacher professional development and coaching. Dr. Shelton was previously a high school special education teacher in Baltimore City Public Schools, where she served students with and without disabilities in English language arts, reading, math, and science. Dr. Rebecca Cruz joined Johns Hopkins in 2021. Her research focuses on and examines disproportionality in a special education and discipline, and in redefining the concept of inclusion from a perspective that considers disability not as an individual trait, but as a product of political, social, and historical practices. Dr. Cruz has worked in middle and high school settings to develop co-teaching and inclusion models. At this time, I'll hand the floor over to Dr. Cruz and Dr. Shelton. Welcome, and thank you both for joining us today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Cruz. It's really good to be here with you today. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our program and just kind of give you an overview of one of our overarching missions here, which is to kind of fill this gap in the fact that the US, we have a critical shortage of teachers, particularly special education teachers, and this is reported across the states. And this particularly affects the Mid-Atlantic region. We're trying to kind of gear our program to serve this region in developing this pipeline to help people enter the profession in a way that really addresses some of our more pressing equity issues in special education, and to address this teacher shortage and increase diversity across the field. So we're really happy to talk to you a little bit more today about how we're going about that and what kinds of needs we can fulfill in terms of helping you to be a part of that process. So currently we offer 3 different pathways in the field of special education so that you can sort of kind of customize your master's degree to best fit your professional goals. So we offer a severe disabilities with an ABA focus. We also offer an autism focus. And if you're interested in that autism focus, I'll talk a little bit about that today. But we will really refer you to Dr. Martyr because she's kind of the lead of that program. And we'll really focus today mostly on the mild to moderate disabilities pathway. So I'll talk a little bit about the courses that we offer and kind of what the schedule looks like. We offer courses throughout the summer, fall, and spring. We're currently kind of working towards moving our summer coursework, especially into a more online format so that you know, folks can kind of access those without having to commute to our Laurel campus. But all of our courses happen in evening sessions so that we're really meant to meet the needs of working professionals. So a lot of the folks that enter our program are either working as paraprofessionals in schools. Sometimes they're already working in special education positions and they're just trying to get their credential finished. Most of our instruction is located at our applied physics lab. Like I said, that's in Laurel, Maryland. And it's really offered in a face-to-face format with just a few of our courses offered online. We are sort of gearing up our schedule so that it's kind of in a cohort model. So everybody that you would be admitted into the program with and at the same time would kind of be following the same progression. And it's meant to be a 2-year process, although we do have some folks that complete it. They take fewer courses and take a little bit longer. And then we do have some really, really ambitious folks who want to take a whole lot of courses and then can complete it a little bit sooner. But typically it's about a 2-year program. So along with completing the coursework that we have outlined, there are some specific program requirements that you complete as you move through the program. And that includes these praxis exams. And then there's also a comprehensive exam that's embedded within our program. And then for those seeking state certification, we've got a culminating project that helps you submit for a state required sort of performance-based assessment. So like the EdTPA, for example. And for those who are seeking to do a much more research focused program, you can also do a graduate project and presentation. So I'm happy to talk more about the details of some of those things, but these are all sort of embedded in the program so that by the time you finish, you end up with a certification stamp and you know, you have the option to do this sort of research intensive project as well, in case you're looking to go forward and do, you know, some more research or leadership type roles outside of the program. So like I said, Dr. Martyr really kind of heads up our autism focused program, but I'll talk a little bit about the main mission of that program is to help you gain expertise in specialized instruction to meet the needs of students identified with autism in K-12 settings. It's a 36 credit worth of coursework program. There are 12 courses, 6 of them are in person and 6 are online, including an applied internship semester. It's really meant to be completed in a 2-year time frame. And if you are interested directly in that program, here's Dr. Martyr's email. She is more than happy to connect with you and talk more about the requirements and any sort of things you want to know about that program. And here are a few of the courses. I'll talk a little bit about, Dr. Shelton is going to talk about the sort of the mild to moderate disabilities coursework, but this is the autism focus, kind of gives you a sample of the coursework. And so in some of these courses, for example, you would take, you know, the collaborative programming course and learn how to work with a lot of multidisciplinary teams to kind of come up with comprehensive support services for students with autism. And yeah, these courses, like I said, they follow all of the other frameworks. So they happen in the afternoons and so that you can be a working professional while you take the program. And you end up with a graduate certificate in autism. And it's designed for all of these different sort of people. So certified educators, educational support personnel, interested members in the community. It's really meant to be a practical, hands-on knowledge of supporting students diagnosed with autism. And it addresses a wide range of competencies that are necessary for the provision of effective educational programming for students with these kinds of disabilities. So again, contact Dr. Martyr for more information. And I'm going to hand it off to Dr. Shelton to talk a little bit about our MMD Focus.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for attending. So you can earn your master's in special education with us, and it could have a focus on mild to moderate disabilities. So this pathway is for anyone who's interested in gaining expertise related to providing students with disabilities specialized instruction or specially designed instruction. And this instruction can take place in a wide range of educational settings. So although the name of this focus or pathway is mild to moderate disabilities, we also have students who work with children who have more extensive support needs. But this program or this focus leads to or can lead to initial certification in generic special education. And so that just means special education in general. And there are two tracks, so to speak. There's the certification that focuses on elementary middle, and that's grades 1 through 8. And then there's also the focus on secondary adult, and that's grades 6 through 12. So if you're interested in working with students in middle school, you could choose the elementary middle track or the secondary adult because there's some overlap. In this degree program, we have a variety of courses that focus on math and spoken and written language. We have a course that focuses on transition for older students. And then we actually have 2 classroom or behavior management courses to provide students with additional support. The degree program consists of 39 credits of coursework. That's 13 courses. 2 of those are applied internships. And if anyone has any questions about the internships, I'm happy to answer questions about the internship expectations and the course that goes along with each internship. And generally, our program can be completed in 2 years, but like Dr. Cruz mentioned, some students take less than or take fewer than 2 years, others take more time. It depends on what works best for each student. So here is the courses that are a part of our program specifically for elementary middle. So if you are interested in the secondary adult track, some of these classes would be different, but we have a class that focuses on characteristics of students with disabilities, instructional planning, educational assessment, spoken and written language, reading, math. So really these courses are designed to prepare students to teach and support students with disabilities in different classroom settings. And so now I wanted to talk about the SETIT program. SETIT stands for Special Education Teacher Immersion Training. And this is a partnership that we have with Montgomery County Public Schools that is meant to support MCPS paraeducators and other employees in earning their master's and their certifications in special education. So it's a 2-year program. You can earn your master's in special education. This is specifically for the MMD pathway or mild to moderate disabilities pathway. And we take a cohort approach. So the program it starts in the summer, and then students typically move together to complete the program in 2 years. By the end of the program, students are eligible for their certification in special education. Again, that's either elementary, middle, or secondary adult. One benefit of completing the program through SETIT is that you can complete your internships in your classroom or in a MCPS classroom. So we have job embedded internships. And so that's really one of the benefits of SEDIT. But one thing to keep in mind is that it's important that your MCPS placement aligns with the track that you're following in our program. So if you are seeking certification for elementary middle, then you would want to make sure that you can complete your internship in a Montgomery County classroom that is within that grade range. So within grades 1 through 8 for elementary middle, and within grades 6 through 12 for secondary adult. Salary and benefits are still available to you as an MCPS employee. There's also tuition support, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I am the JHU liaison for the SEDIT program, and there's my email address at the bottom of this slide.
Thank you, Dr. Shelton. At this time, we will turn it over to our student speaker, Jordan Hensley.
Thanks. So my name is Jordan Hensley. I am a May 2022 graduate of the mild to moderate program at Hopkins. Hooray, I made it through. I will say that when I was shopping around for a graduate program in special education, I was really looking for a program that had a strong evidence-based background and would kind of build that muscle for me so that I could bring in programming and interventions with my students that would meet their needs. And I kind of found that in this Hopkins program. I had initially started the program with the intention of getting the Maryland state certification. But after completing about half of my coursework, I realized that I had already had a DC certification from teaching in DC and going through that process with our state superintendent of education and getting that certification. So I didn't pursue the extra coursework to get the Maryland state certification, just because I didn't anticipate moving to Maryland or teaching in Maryland for my own personal and professional goals. Outside of that, I really enjoyed the majority of the coursework that I had undergone through this degree. I think the legal aspects class was really strong. I also enjoyed characteristics as well as my internship, because I was able to stay at my current middle school placement while I was doing my internship. So it wasn't as if I needed to find another job or, find another school to work at during that time. But it did align with the secondary to adult pathway that I was focused on. Outside of that, I will say, I also appreciate that the classes were offered in the evenings to accommodate working schedules. I believe the 4:30 classes were a little bit early for me when I had to go in person, but I did work it out with my professors because I was driving up to Maryland through DC, from DC. And if I was a few minutes late, they were very gracious with me. And I always was able to kind of stay after if I needed to check in with them. So the program was a little bit different than yours will be, just because I entered into the program just before COVID really hit and the pandemic kind of shut down in-person classes. So my first semester, I had a couple of my classes in person, and then we transitioned to online. And the majority of my coursework was completed online, including my comp exams, which was interesting. But I do appreciate how effective Hopkins was at being able to make that transition to online and then to transition back to in-person towards the end of my degree, as well as offering support to students in terms of mental health support, or in terms of supports that they may have needed during the class, or accommodating students' needs. If I could go back and do the virtual ed. But yeah, I think that you guys able to hear me talk about some of the things that I enjoyed. Hello?
So you broke up a little bit towards the end. Yeah, you're going in and out, in and out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying how I really appreciated the evening classes to accommodate a working schedule. And then how Hopkins was able to transition to virtual and then back during the pandemic. But that's it for me, unless anyone has any questions.
Thanks for sharing that, Jordan. And I wanted to say that Jordan mentioned that some of his courses started a little early, around 4:30, and that's also one thing that we are adjusting so that the classes that do meet in person meet at a later time, since most of our students are full-time employees working in schools and have to travel to Laurel for those classes. So here's just a bit of information about the ideal candidate for the mild to moderate disabilities focus. It typically is someone who is interested in seeking initial certification in special education, but it's not always that, that's not always the case. For example, Jordan did not seek certification, but did complete the courses and gain this expertise that will, that supports students in teaching their students. And then for the autism focus, it's typically for those who are interested in acquiring skills that will assist them in supporting students with autism and students who have more extensive support needs. That's typically in a K-12 setting as well. And for students who are, or for individuals who are already certified in special education. In general, the programs are ideal for those who are able to commit 2 years of intensive graduate coursework, who are able to demonstrate that they have met the admissions requirements and that they're willing to work and study hard, because this is a graduate degree. It comes with graduate expectations and responsibilities.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Cruz, Dr. Shelton, and Jordan for the wonderful presentations. And now we're going to continue by going over the application requirements. First, a 3.0 or better cumulative undergraduate grade point average. Applicants must submit a completed application, which can be found on the school's website. The application fee is $80. Official transcripts from all post-secondary institutions attended. We need all official transcripts, including institutions you may have taken courses but did not receive a degree. An essay and a current resume, 2 letters of recommendation from individuals who can speak to your work in the field of special education. And for the mild to moderate program, testing scores are required if your GPA is less than a 3.0. Please visit the Maryland Department of Education website for a listing of standardized tests that are accepted. And lastly, an interview. Applicants who meet admission requirements will be asked to interview to ensure that their goals align with the program's goals before an offer of admission. For international students, you must submit a passing IELTS score, TOEFL score, or a TOEFL waiver request form. And if your degree was completed outside of the US, please keep in mind that you will need to complete a course-by-course evaluation. Additional information can be found on the school's website. The tuition for the 2022-2023 academic school year is $918 per credit for face-to-face courses, $972 plus a $20 per credit technology fee for online courses. In addition, the registration fee is $175 per semester. There's an application fee of $80 when you submit your application. For additional information on tuition and fees, please visit the SOE website. And if you're interested in applying for financial aid, we strongly encourage you to apply for financial aid when you start your application. The School of Education, we offer a limited number of partial need-based institutional scholarships each year. And these awards range on average from $500 to $1,500 per semester and are applied to tuition expenses beginning in the fall semester. Please keep in mind to apply for the SOE Endowed Scholarship, students must complete the FAFSA form. To learn if you qualify for the Endowed Scholarship or have any questions regards to financial aid, please visit the school's website. All right, so at this time, we would like to open up the floor for questions. And while we wait for some questions, Dr. Cruz, Dr. Shelton, and Jordan, some frequently asked questions that we get is number one, where are the classes offered?
So, sorry, are you asking?
This is for Dr. Cruz and Dr. Shelton. These are some, while we're getting some questions, or waiting for some questions from students, we do get some frequently asked questions from the Office of Admissions. And the first one is, where are the classes offered?
I got it. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, our face-to-face courses at this current moment are offered at the Applied Physics Lab in Laurel, Maryland. And we do have some classes that are offered online, and those are through our Canvas platform. So, and I see somebody in the chat here asking if it's possible to do all of the classes virtually, and that's a really good question. Our program has historically been really a face-to-face program with only just a few of our courses offered online. We have been talking internally, given the pandemic kind of shifted everything online, and we've been sort of working on building back the face-to-face things that we really value and the online things that are working really well in the online platform. And we may be shifting our coursework a little bit more towards online in the future, but at current moment, most of them are face-to-face. So it's a really good question.
It's almost 50-50. So about 50% of the program is online. Almost 50% of the program is online.
The next question we have from Faith is, Faith has a couple of questions. Could I unmute and ask? Yes, Faith.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Faith. I'm joining from Kenya, and I'm interested in one of the programs. With the presentation that you guys have put across, it's quite clear what is expected. Although as an international student, I have quite a few questions to ask. One of them might be the first one that I would wish to know is from the list when it comes to the English proficiency. Is one exempted if they come from a country where English is their first language when it comes to either the institution they have joined or even where they work currently? The second question for me would be, with the course that offer the 2 internships, what will actually happen if someone is not basically from the US as an international student? How do you go about it? The other question I may ask would be, is the study program one that can be offered to an international student or not? For now, those are the questions I have.
Thank you, Faith. This is Tanya in admissions. Regarding the first question that you asked about your coursework, if your coursework was done internationally, even though if it was conducted in English and English instruction, we still require a course-by-course credential evaluation and the TOEFL exam as well, or IELTS exam is another one that we accept for English proficiency. For the other questions, I'll defer to either Dr. Cruz or Dr. Shelton to answer those program-related questions.
Yep, I can answer those remaining questions. So the second question was about internships. Most of our students are already employed in schools and tend to do these job-embedded internships. But for students who are not employed in schools, whether they're international students or not, we do set up unpaid internships so that they can complete those requirements. And so that has been something that we have done recently. Your third question was about SEDIT. SEDIT is specifically for employees of Montgomery County Public Schools. And so as long as someone is an employee in that school district, and that does not include subbing or even including long-term subbing, it doesn't include any type of subbing, but it is specifically for employees of Montgomery County Public Schools, regardless of like international status.
Okay, thank you so much. One more question that I may have. So what happens if someone is still pursuing their bachelor's or special education currently, and they're about to graduate come next year, July? So maybe they're looking forward to apply for the fall semester next year, 2023. What is the way forward when it comes to that?
You could certainly apply for the fall 2023 semester if you're graduating in July. But you do have to account for the time it may take for you to have a credential evaluation done. I'm assuming your school is internationally based, is that correct?
Not really, it's not internationally based.
May I ask where the school is located, or if it's a US school or not?
No, it's not a US school. I know it has a branch in the US, but it's not a US school per se.
Okay, so then you definitely have to allow the extra time it would take to have your credential evaluation done. But you should definitely start that process when you apply so that we can see your degree is in progress when you apply for next fall. So and then you would also request a final official evaluation when your degree is completed and conferred.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, so the next question we have from Dana is, I live in California. Would your certificates be valid in California?
So our program is a residential program for certification, meaning that completing the program makes students eligible for certification in Maryland specifically. And like we shared earlier, right now, we don't have a fully online program. So there is some in-person, there are some in-person classes that would need to be taken in Maryland. If someone was able to come to Maryland, but they didn't want certification because because they're not interested in certification in Maryland, they would still be able to complete the master's just without certification. But right now, our program does not allow for certification in other states. It's not approved for other states. It's Maryland approved specifically.
Right. And to kind of build on that just a little bit too, I know I am actually from California, and there is a pretty high standard of reciprocity. So if you were to get your Maryland credential through our Maryland approved program, you could apply for a credential over in California, and sometimes they accept it as a preliminary credential and you'd still have to clear it in some California approved program. But it really just depends. And I don't know that we know the specifics of whether or not they would accept that as a preliminary or not. But I'd be happy if you want to, shoot me an email directly to walk you through that process and take a look.
So Dana asked about specific coursework that could be taken to develop art integration projects that are specifically designed for someone with dyslexia or an English language learner or someone with a disability or learning disability. I don't think that our program specifically has coursework that would relate to that. In general, we have classes like characteristics for students with mild to moderate disabilities. And so that in our classes, students have the opportunity to learn about disability and learn about ways to support students with disabilities. And we also focus on students from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds. So I think some of our coursework would provide some good foundational knowledge that would support you in your specific areas of interest. But in general, our program prepares students for the generic special education certification.
Thank you, Dr. Shelton. The next question we have is from Faith. Does the department offer assistantships apart from the other financial aid being offered? I'm not aware of any assistantships that are offered by the special ed department, program department. I don't believe there are any. As far as assistantships overall, we don't offer that at the School of Education aside from our doctoral PhD program. As far as other financial aid, if you are an international student, I'm not sure if you're a US resident, but we do have resources that we can email you. It's also on our website under grants and scholarships for international students as well.
And the next question I received was, does the Master of Science in Special Education, Severe Disabilities with an emphasis in autism spectrum, does this program lead to certification?
That program does not currently lead to certification. So I believe that most students in the program already have certification. That said, there are students in the MMD program who teach students with autism, but it's not, the MMD program doesn't have a specific focus on autism. And there are some students who consider taking additional courses in autism, but they still want to complete the MMD program because that is what leads to certification.
All right, it looks like there are no more questions. Thank you again for your interest in the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Thank you again to Dr. Cruz, Dr. Shelton, and Jordan for your time and for the wonderful presentation today. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
And thank you, Dr. Cruz, for reminding me. Here on this slide, we have some important contact information for admissions for Ms. Tanya McMillan. Here on the slide, you can see her email, phone number, and for any program-related questions, there is also Camila Mika Sims, email address on this slide.